How we going, YouTube? Now we're just making content no matter what. This is the first review for another Aussie audiophile. We're going to be reviewing the Dynaudios. They're an awesome speaker. I can't wait to get stuck into it. Now, I just want to say a few things before we do get stuck into it though. Is that a lot of people probably going to say, Gary, this is a little bit too raw for video. And you know what I have to say? I have to say, let's just get out there and make content. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have a million subs. I'm just another Aussie audiophile with a passion. And I want to show you guys. So let's just get started. No excuses. We can make content. We can do this. It's the early days of the channel. And let's check out these Dynaudios. Here we go. This is the listening room. This is the first stage of the video. Basically, it's a terrible room. It is without showing you too much else. It's basically three rectangles put together in the shape of a square, with the fourth rectangle kind of dividing it into three rectangles. I know that sounds real weird. I'll put a drawing up for you on the screen, but it's right proper sus, this room. And basically, because it's a square, there's no long wall or short wall. I've just set this up here because it's basically out of the way. I found where the Bose 601s are, right up against that wall, or right up along the edge of our renovator's carpet here. You can see that stain there on the left. That's how you know you've gone too far for a few things in life. But one or two tiles out, three and a half tiles out, yeah, it's less than a meter, because that's our golden number. Less than a meter is the most superior bass response and the widest soundstage, which is my preference. If you move the speakers in closer, you don't have as predictable room modes. Well, they are predictable, but you have to calculate them. What I'm saying is, for expedience and enjoyability, where the Bose speakers are is where, and a few tiles out, is where the best bang for buck is. Now, the Dynaudios have been tested in that configuration, but ultimately what we settled on, due to the character of the speaker, was having them on set up there, using them up there as monitors if required, because they can fulfill that duty quite well. But truthfully, due to how intimate of a speaker they are, even for their age, they played best in that area. I think they've only got a 4 or 5 inch woofer. I'll read the spec sheet in another part of the vid, but due to that, they can't energize the room in the same way as some of these other speakers, in particular the Wattmores, and especially the ambience ribbons. I'll say, in comparison to, if we look over here, to our little Clish, my first speaker, that little Clish has so much more kick and so much more get up and go compared to the Dynaudio. Dynaudio is just very thirsty, and it's by no means weak, not at all. Play very loud, very clear. It's extremely articulate and melodic. The way that this thing can make bass intelligible is a real joy. Not only that, it really excels in certain genres due to its sort of softer character. But don't mistake that for a lack of brightness, because it can and will exceed your expectation in that regard. But it isn't as vivid, I would say, or as much zing as the horn-loaded aluminum tweeter in the Klish RP150M. Alright, let's move on to something else. What I find really interesting is in the video, I've got a little clip of some of the Big Brother speakers of this line, and the MTM design, so mid-range, tweeter mid-range, as we have on this Wattmore, is comparable to the Dynaudio Image line. And yeah, I do have different woofers in those, for those of you who are going to say in the comments. Yeah, that was part of the resto. I couldn't get the OG drivers going, but I still have them. That's for the Wattmore video though, before I get too distracted. Yeah, so I just found it really interesting, the sonic parallel between these, and that visually the Wattmores could share a potential lineage. I think that they do actually, just privately, because of how excellent the Wattmore sound is. And I'm just joining the dots that way. But for this speaker, it's really good. I'll talk through all the sections of my review in a sec. Alright, so for sections of the review, usually what I do is I have a disclaimer. I'm not sponsored. Okay, I talk about the room setup. I try to listen to them indoors, outdoors, in the shed, and in the bedroom and in the living room. Where they worked best was in like a monitor sort of configuration. I didn't have access to the spec sheet, but let me tell you that the speaker can plumb with bass. It goes really low as well, like it does the full range, which is great, but don't expect too much. And being front ported as well, you can tell with a smaller woofer it was designed to be right up against that wall, so I think it would be great for monitoring. The speaker feels awesome when you have it. It's just like, it's got a touch of class on its own. You can see here I was trying to see if it could like fit in the corners, but they were kind of hanging off the shelf. So that didn't sort of work out too well in there. What I thought would happen when I got these speakers was that I'd use them as monitors all the time, but it turns out that I didn't really do that. And I thought that'd be perfect for rock and roll, but actually what they do is like vocals and voices and instruments just like spectacularly. There's my dog. He's like so well behaved in this footage here. What a legend. So yeah, this is sort of like the first part of that. In a sec, what you'll see is that I'm going to weigh the speaker, because I didn't know how much it weighed. It weighs about 6 kilos, which is pretty cool. And I think this speaker is pretty much perfect for anybody, especially those who are going to use like an AVR or who have access to EQ. I could definitely tame the speaker and get it to do what I wanted it to do. Yeah, play modern music, but ultimately what I use it for is just for comparisons for different sounds with my other bookshelf speakers. Yeah, so one thing that I found really cool about this speaker is just this history, like personally in the community where we're from. So the bloke who owned these speakers, who was kind enough to sell them to me, he told me actually that the story of how he got these speakers, right? So it goes a little something like this. Back in 1996, he was doing some work out there in the mines, as you know most Aussie blokes tend to do. It's good wicket out there, and he come into a bit of coin, and with a bit of convincing, his partner let him acquire these Dynaudios, and he said they were used mostly in the bedroom. And hey, I'd have them in the bedroom too. They're wicked. I really like it, yeah. So I just found it so cool that like way back in the day, you know, this bloke gave himself a little splurge and he got these speakers. I think that's a wicked story myself personally, and I just wanted to share that with you all too. As you can see, size comparison wise, they're not too shabby. I like to have them that way myself personally, but they work in any kind of configuration. They're really good like that. Very, very flexible, very authentic, for sure. I think deserving of the name that they hold. I really love this speaker though. I don't have any disappointments for it at all. It's truly outstanding for what it can do. So for the second half of my review part, I suppose I'll talk about like my online journey when I was Googling it. I ended up finding a link in the description, by the way, guys, a cool PDF that speaks about the speaker in more technical detail, which was wicked. I love this speaker when my partner loves it. She says it sounds amazing with folk, and that's amazing. It's got a great aesthetic and it fits right on in our place, so it's really well accepted. Bass and tonality, like I said, it's just a truly articulate speaker and it represents really well. Sometimes it can hit a bit on the bright side though. For musical areas, for music that it excels at, genuinely Jack Johnson, Hypnotic Brass Ensemble, T.I., the introduction on Trouble Man, really hard to do well. All of Eric Clapton, Mariah Carey as well. But you know, Amy Winehouse and Cher didn't really come through, hey, when we were playing these. But the rest of the music was really good. And oh man, I just love looking at this old spec sheet and how much detail they put into it. The speaker is truly exceptionally built and made to last. Unfortunately, the only disappointing kind of part about it is after like 20 years or so, the grills on the front are a bit busted, but whatever. I genuinely love this speaker. My partner loves this speaker. It's one we're going to keep for sure. And I think it's my first front ported speaker as well, so I really enjoyed the ease of placement. And if I hadn't said it already, it works best in a sort of near field up close position when we run it far and wide, 3 meters by 3 meters to the listening position. Just didn't really excel. Maybe these Image 5s here would have been a better choice, but they look just like the Watmores, and that's what I was speaking to before about the Watmores, how there's like a similarity there. But yeah, truly outstanding examples online, and you can pick these up for bargain prices as well if you shop around, or you get on StereoNet. Shout out to StereoNet. Yeah, let's start in there. But yeah, genuinely, to end my first review on YouTube, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for buckling up and coming on the journey, and only going up from here.